Hey, Jason Scott here. Today I'm going to be demoing my limb setup. This could be IK to FK blending, IK or FK, depending on what you want to do. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of features, the various ways that this is done, and then how I did it a little differently. And I'm putting this up for a couple of reasons, I guess as a mission statement. The first one is questioning other TDs. Have you ever used this kind of a method before, and if not, why? Is there any inherent problem that I'm not aware of that I haven't run into with this method, or is it okay for simple projects such as game rigs? Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is how do we set up this limb setup. So I know that I'm going to want IK and FK. Okay, I want IK to FK blending. That's the number one thing. And in a setup like this, it's generally done one of two ways. An orient constraint method, where you take this bone and then you orient constrain it between these two, and this will then snap to here to there, and then it blends in between. And then you do the same thing, and so you get this kind of an action. Or you use a color blend node, or a blend color node, which does pretty much the same thing, and it makes this bone stick to this one sticks to that one, and so on and so forth. One of the big issues I have with this is that it takes 3 bone chains to set this up. There are 5 bones for legs because you want to have these two. If you have a reverse foot, you're going to have IKs affecting this, which means that all of these chains need to mirror over that IK stuff. Otherwise, it will react strangely. So what that basically means is that you're going to end up with 5 times 3, which is 15 bones, just for one leg switching between IK and FK. And that's just a lot of extra work. My method does not require these 3 bone chains. It requires 1 bone chain. So you have your hip, your knee, your ankle, your ball, and your toe. Let's talk about the basic features we're going to want to work with. IK, we want stretchy, bendy, elbow and knee pinning. We want an auto twist, which is going to fix that Tootsie Roll effect when you twist your wrist or your ankle or your hip. We want arc assistance, which is going to allow us to, even in IK mode, keep really nice clean arcs. We want a jump mode so that when I crouch down and then jump up into the air, I don't want to have to grab the IK controller in IK mode and then constantly pull it up ahead of time. I want to be able to activate a jump mode where the IK is going to follow the hips so that when I move the root control, the legs will follow along in whatever position so that I can do flips and stuff. And I want a reverse foot setup. Now the reverse foot is going to allow me to go down, push down the root controller, and the legs are going to behave properly, and it's going to give me the ability to use a toe roll, a ball roll, and a heel roll, as well as banks and other things like that. A couple things to look for are I want my rig to be efficient, clean, simple, and fast. So all of these things are going to happen with 1 bone chain. Let's look at how it happens. This is my basic setup. Okay. So the first thing we want to check is, alright, so we're standard default. Notice that we have a basic IK. Okay, it doesn't stretch. Let's turn stretchy on. Now it stretches. If we want to blend in between that, we get a nice clean blend. Okay, and you can see that there. Okay. Next thing we want to do is we want to check, see the pull vectors working. Let's take a look at the reverse foot so we see how that works. You got your ball roll. Now some people have the heel, toe, ball all in one thing, and then if you go like this, it'll do this, and then when you come back, it'll do this, more or less. Okay. I like to separate those out so that I can do things like this. Okay. But that's just me. Okay. This is how I set up my reverse foot setup. Okay. And you have various ways to bank. Okay, so that's important there. The next thing that we will want to do, now let's just zero all that out, is take a look at the knee pinning. Hold up. There, okay. Stretch, and now notice that the knee follows. Control there, and the knee is pinned. Okay. In addition, we're going to want to lock this. So now we have kind of a pseudo FK thing. So even though we're knee pinned, we are now able to move this like this with everything pinned. So let's say that he was kneeling on a step or something, that works. And then you can sort of, push your weight down and all that, and the knee stays stuck, which is what we want. Okay. Okay. The next thing we want to take a look at is how we set up the auto twisting. So let's take a look at that. Okay. Without the auto twist, you'll be able to see. So notice that this is kind of following along as it should. If we turn that off, we can blend in between that. And what that actually is if we turn ribbon control viz, this is why I have bendy. Notice that I can actually create varying degrees of manual adjustment for my fall off on all this twisting. So it's a really nice thing to have. In addition, this is what people will generally use this for. Okay, I can go to Object and then create this sort of round knee effect and world, and there you go. Okay, so we have a nice little round knee. You know, you can take this and bend it down here and really create some interesting results. So as you can see. Anyway, so you have bendy straw legs, and you know, they work as well as doubling as a very powerful twist correction setup, which really comes in handy in the arms and the forearms when you start twisting the wrist, because the ankle can only go so far. So let's go ahead and turn auto twist is already off. All right, let's activate FK, and let's turn our ribbon controls off. Let's go to our FK controls, and we can see how the FK is working. All right, so here's your basic FK concept. Now, the way this works, as I said before, there is only one bone chain, and that's this one. Okay, so how this basically works is you take a group of this object. All right, that's the knee lock group. Here it goes. Here's a constraint group, and you put a constraint using this and a whirl. So what ends up happening now is, let's do this so I can kind of demonstrate. Okay. So we'll go between IK and FK. Okay, so you see how we're getting that nice blend, just like we would normally. All right. What actually all this is this group is basically parent constrained to this object. And when you do that, this creates a pivot point, and this creates a pivot point. And that's all we really want to do. So now when we go to IK to FK mode, okay, it acts just as an FK would. Now, there are a few cons to using this method. One of the big ones is that if I go like this and I want to snap the knee in half like I'm breaking it in the animation, it doesn't do that. Okay, notice that if you go too far, it starts to push it up. Also, if I want to stretch this, I go to object mode and I stretch it out like this. Notice that it doesn't perfectly do what you want it to do. You know, and we start to get a little bit of weirdness here. But by simply going back here again, you know, we get some really interesting results. Like when he stretches way out there now, and it's not even bent in the first place, so it doesn't even matter. But you know, we start to get some really interesting, you know, stretchy, squashy things happening, and you can, you know, do that kind of thing. So I have noticed that you do start to get some errors there, but rarely will you really do that. Most of the time that I use FK, it's for stuff like this, for instance. Okay, so let's say the character is sitting like Seiza position. All right, and now right now everything is following. All right, so let's say the character is sliding on the floor in Seiza, so it just slides and then comes here, maybe, you know, that. Okay, and now we want to settle the weight, but if we pull down right now, it'll go through the floor. So now what we want to do, there's a couple things. First thing we do is we take this object and we're going to snap it, and then we're going to go to stretch so that this is locked down now. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this object. This is a basic world space snapping script. You could do the same thing using locators and parenting or parent constraining to get the information you want, or you could grab the X form of the object and write a small script. This is just a basic world space tool. All right, copy the position of that. we're going to go to this, go back to the IK mode, paste it. Alright. Take this world's position, copy, grab this object here, and paste it, and now we're back in position. And now notice that we can adjust the weight just as we would want. So you can see how a lot of the systems that we're setting up here double and do more than one thing. So instead of having to set up a different control for everything, the jump effect, where this thing follows, is actually the same as you know, just turning it to FK. And we can use very basic world space matching to fix all that stuff there. So let's go ahead and let's see. Let's turn stretch to 0. Let's zero all that out. And we will zero all that out as well. Okay, so we're getting, you know, that. Now, in addition, another cool feature of this that I want to talk about is when I go into FK mode, let's say that we push our foot backwards, all right, and we want to maybe position this like this. Now, even though we're in FK mode, we can still use all those nice reverse foot options, okay? We still have all these nice you know, extra reverse attributes. You know, the auto twist works. You know, we can, you know, mix that. We can turn stretchy leg on and off. We can activate ribbon controls. And even though we're again in FK mode, okay, we can still, you know, do finite adjustments, you know, for however we want, for whatever the, you know, maybe the person gets hit and we want to create a really crazy silhouette, you know. I mean, you know, it's really endless. Okay. So as like I said, but the benefit of doing all this is that it's one bone chain. So if we have a standard biped character with 4 limbs, it's just going to be 4 bone chains, okay? It's one bone chain with a bone-based reverse foot setup here, and that is all the bones that I need. And when I export the FBX, that's the only bone chain that will go with it. I'm not going to have 3 bone chains that are hanging out in the FBX that I either have to delete off or export out into the final, you know, engine. You know, like I said, you know, this is your flip mode. So, you know, you jump in the air and then do a flip, and then, you know, you land. And then you just turn this off. You're here, and then you can, you know, create your recoil and all that. So, so that's basically the system. Okay. And again, you could literally the cool thing about doing it like this. Another interesting thing is even in FK mode, you still get pole vectors. See, the pole vectors still work, even though we're in FK mode. And let's say that we want to, you know, push off of, let's say there's a wall here and we want to push off of it. It's literally as simple as just rotating and positioning. So in 3 clicks, I was able to get to the wall. Whereas before, I would have had to, you know, try to, you know, position it like this, and then come up like this, and then change the pole vector, and then pull it up like that, and you see how much easier it is to get to, like, your poses, okay? So that's what I meant by arc assistance. Okay, and that is your basic setup. The final thing I want to show is that it does indeed globally scale. So to prove that, let's go ahead and stretch it out, okay? And let's go to the master group, moves, rotates, and it globally scales. Let's go all the way down there, hit F. Okay, that works. Let's turn stretch off. Hit V, turn stretch on, let's lock it, and we get that nice like pseudo FK mode as well. Okay, and no matter what, it scales. So hold up, let's go here. In addition, final thing I want to point out, just kind of last minute things. This thing, the only nodes, utility nodes, or mill scripting or anything like that that it uses come from this, which is to set up the knee pinning, which I really didn't need because I have another method of doing it. This is Create IK Stretch, which is a script from Jason Schleifer. It comes with animator-friendly rigging, which is where I learned the actual manual setup to do this, and I know how to do it manually. So I just used the script because it came with it. Everything else requires no utility nodes and no script, and you can see that by going to the hypergraph connections. Okay, and you will notice that you don't see any color blend nodes, and you don't see any multiply divide nodes, and you don't see any of those things. That's the entire rig. Graph. Scene hierarchy. Okay. Okay. So you can see the whole hierarchy. You don't see all the, 4 color blend nodes and 4, special things. Now, you do use a lot of orient constraints and parent constraints to kind of set the system up. But really, a lot of it is direct connection to the weight using the connection editor. So it's easier to set up. You don't even have to set up a whole lot of set-driven keys. So pretty much, I think this gives you all the basic features that you would find in an FK-IK rig. You have your, again, we can go through our list here. You have stretchy, bendy, elbow and knee pinning. You have an auto twist system. You have arc assistance. You have a jump mode, and you have a reverse flip that works with IK and FK. It blends properly. I showed you that it's capable of matching, if need be, with basic world spacing. It's an efficient rig. Okay, it does all these things that it's supposed to do. It's clean. As I showed you before, there's not a lot of special nodes hanging out. There's not a lot of, everything's in this nice, clean little group. It's a simple rig, all right, because it's using one bone chain, and it's just having different actual controls control other controls, and it's just using the concept of parent hierarchy and pivoting to get most of its behavior. And it's fast because, again, it doesn't take very long to make it, and there's not a lot going on under the hood. It's all pretty much what you see is what you get, and it uses a lot of built-in special features that just kind of work well. So that is my setup. So again, questions to any TDs. Have you ever used an FK system like this, where you're not using multiple bone chains, but you're actually just having the FK system control the IK? And if not, is there a reason why? And for others, what do you think about this kind of a system? Do you think it would be fun to use? Do you think this would be a nice rig where you could get a lot done and make it simpler to pose and all that kind of things? And if anybody's curious about how I made this rig, feel free to ask. It's not that complicated. I could probably do the whole thing from start to finish in under an hour. So anybody who's interested in that, just ask me, and if there's enough people that are interested in it, I'll make a video on it. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope you guys have a great day.